If
busca unir
globalization seeks to bring all of us together, but to do so respecting each person, each individual person's richness and peculiarity, respecting all peoples and their own distinctives, that globalization is good and makes us all grow and leads to peace.
And welcome back to Daily Wrap. While most American politicians did a reasonably good job of keeping the politics out of the Pope's successful visit to the United States, much of the political pundit class were apparently unable to restrain themselves and their need to label the Holy Father as either a liberal, conservative, whatever. While some pundits, including myself, including Rick, most of this panel actually, say who cares if the Pope is liberal or conservative or none of the above, because he is a spiritual leader and not a political leader. But still, others just couldn't help themselves.
Let us remember the golden rule.
The Pope is a liberal guy, there's no question about it. But his philosophy is based upon what is good for poor people, not on controversial social issues.
I thought this was pure progressive Catholicism. Most of what he had today sounded very much like progressive Catholicism.
Progressive? Catholicism? Never heard that term before. Anyway, but didn't the Pope say it all when suggesting that we all simply follow one of the oldest rules in one of the oldest books?
Let us remember the golden rule. Do unto others as you will have them do unto you.
All right, and so why is the punditocracy so focused on picking apart everything the Pope said and turning this into red versus blue, Democrat versus Republican, Unger?
It was really annoying to me. You know, as you just said, I thought the politicians did a relatively good job while the Pope was here in not going that route, and good for them. It was the pundits, it was the people on TV, it was the people writing newspaper stories who simply could not help themselves, and they really annoyed me. There's nothing wrong with simply celebrating a man who has an important role in the world, who was dedicated to doing good things on earth. You can just celebrate him for 4 days. You're not going to lose your job, pundits. It's okay. It doesn't have to all be politics, but they just couldn't resist.
You think that's now the business model, Bill? That they had so many hours to fill, right?
Yep.
And half the time they would just have to 10 minutes, 20 minutes. So you can't just talk about the Bible or the Ten Commandments, so you have to come up with controversy because that's what cable news
is. That's what we do. That's what we do. We thrive on that. And I wrote in my Forbes column over the weekend, I'm very comfortable with religion. I'm just not comfortable with people who want to politicize religion. Yeah. And that's what we did immediately. And it irritated me to no end. I couldn't agree with you more, Rick.
Okay. Noah?
Well, we politicize certain religions. We politicize religions that have become majoritarian in this country, particularly denominations of Christianity. Catholicism is among them. Protestantism is among them. We have a sort of an aversion to politicizing, for example, Islam or Buddhism or Hinduism or Shintoism or Taoism. Well, you know what? Not really. He's sort of politicized the nature of having an individual occupy an office of a certain faith, but we wouldn't have a religious leader, an imam, an important imam, come into this country and then hold him up as somebody who is either to be reviled or to be respected and admired and emulated.
I'm actually not so sure about that, but we don't know.
I don't know if that's, I just don't see that as being the case.
I think reviled would probably be more the take on that, but well,
it depends on the commentator, I suppose.
Speaking of commentators, New York Times columnist Maureen Dowd couldn't resist criticizing the Pope over the Church's stance on not allowing women to serve as priests, while others went after His Holiness for highlighting global warming in his speech before Congress. So here's the question. Does the Pope have some sort of obligation to be consistent to the American audience as far as his views on things like global warming?
Just because the punditocracy wants him to be political doesn't mean he has to be consistent. Look, he is taking things and running them through the filter of his church. His church has certain dogma, and that is what he represents. Now, it's where he expands to inclusiveness and the way he handles some of these things that I think make this Pope so special. He's not arguing for abortion, for goodness sakes. What he is saying, though, is quit, kicking people aside because you don't agree with what they do. There's always room to bring them back into the faith. And I'm not a Catholic, but I admire anybody who takes that point of view. That's why I like this guy. He has no obligation to be politically consistent whatsoever.
Bill, was that the goal here, that obviously less Catholics going to church attendance down, bringing in a bigger tent, so therefore you have to acquiesce? Not totally, but be a little bit more liberal.
In business terms, this is a CEO.
I hear the churches were
overflowing. The CEO came to town and he's trying to drive membership in his organization. I think that's purely, honestly, why he came.
Did you go to church this weekend?
Oh, I go to church every weekend,
so
it had no impact on me.
Do you do the Saturday 5 o'clock Mass like I do sometimes, or more the Sunday?
Sunday morning.
Sunday morning? Yeah, good way to start off the Sunday before NFL football. Anyway, do you think the Pope was too political or just political enough? Go to newsmaxtv.com/comments and let us know. I'm sure you will. Up next, France is stepping up its air attacks on ISIS. Wow, more on that in a moment.